Hey guys, and welcome back to this episode of Chinese culture, or in this case, a very dark side of Chinese culture that some of you might not have experienced or be made aware of. You see, quite a handful of years ago on social media, someone once tried to provoke me by asking me, "Hey Johnny, are you racist?" And I told the person, I said, yes, I am, but not what you're thinking about. I am racist, but only toward my own people. I'm racist toward Chinese people. Now, this may sound very ridiculous if you are not yourself Chinese, but I think if you are Chinese, you are probably nodding your head right now and probably know what I'm talking about. So, why is it that quite often Chinese people dislike Chinese people? Why is it that when you look at people from the Philippines, they have all kind of fun Filipino festivals and event and club. When you look at people from Guam, they have Guam Club and all kind of celebration. When you look at people from India, they have all kind of celebration and event and you look at the people from the Middle East, or you look at Muslim people in general, they go to the mosque and they do a lot of events together. But when is the last time that you actually hear Chinese people do things together when it's not like Dragon Boat Day or Chinese New Year or one of those unavoidable Chinese special days? Almost never. Chinese people mostly don't do things together. And I often joke with people when people ask me, hey, why don't you Chinese people do things? Why isn't there a Chinese club? Why isn't there like a Chinese community where Chinese people celebrate together? I usually joke with people and I say, well, because Chinese people love money so much, and so whenever someone say, hey, let's make a club, or someone say, hey, let's celebrate this, let's get together for a picnic, every Chinese person in the room going to say, how much is it going to cost? Who's paying for it? And why are we wasting money for this? Now, that is a simplified version of why Chinese people are the way we are. But there's a much deeper reason behind it. There's a much deeper problem in the Chinese culture in general that cause Chinese people not want to do things with Chinese people not wanting to trust Chinese people, and today we are going to sit down and really dissect the reasons, and hopefully by the end of the video, we'll understand exactly what's going on here. Usually, I don't go this deep into this particular topic because it will come across a bit like a lecture if I really want to go into it, because it is a lot more complicated than most people would have imagined. But today, because it is my video, my floor, my time to talk, so I'm going to talk you guys over the 8 reasons of Chinese people not willing to get along with Chinese people. And I know you guys are totally being assaulted by the cat blocking the view right now. I'm sorry about that. Tiger is totally covering the camera. Should I redo this video? Nah, I think I'll just leave this in. So, reason number one why Chinese people can't get along with Chinese people is because of history. So, as most of you know by now, Chinese people have had a really long history. Now, experts can argue whether it's 4,000 years, 5,000 years, 8,000 years, 10,000 years, whatever you want to make it, thousands of years of history. And throughout most of that time, Chinese people were fighting Chinese people. So some people say, well, no, no, hold on, that's not right. How about the fighting the Mongols, fighting the Manchus, fighting the northern Bavarians? Isn't that why you guys built the Great Wall? Well, yes, but when we were dealing with the northern tribes, the northern so-called barbarians, which, by the way, they are Chinese people as well, actually. So people like most Chinese people today are descendants from either the southern Han people or the northern one of the northern tribes. So the northerners were actually Chinese people as well. Um, but okay, let's just say they were not at that time. That was during the Han Dynasty and the Qing Dynasty that was going down. And then, we go past thousands of years, and there's Tiger again, I know. We go back thousands of years before having to deal with the Mongol invasion and in the Yuan Dynasty, or at the end of the Song Dynasty. And then another like 400 or 500 years go by before we have to deal with the Manchu invasion. So when Chinese people actually have to deal with outsiders, and even if we throw in being invaded by white people and then being invaded by Japanese people, okay, let's throw those in. There's pretty much only 5 instances where Chinese people were actually fighting outsiders throughout Chinese history. So let's say 5,000 years of history, that's on average 1,000 years each time. Okay? Um, all the rest of the battles, and there were thousands of them, okay, the Three Kingdom period, the chaos of the 16 states and the warring 7 states and the White Lotus rebellions and the peasant rebellions, uh, the grassroots rebellion, the Yellow Turban rebellion, all those wars were Chinese people fighting Chinese people. So, historically speaking, Chinese people have not been one big happy family. We spent thousands of years fighting among ourselves. Now, some people may say, "Well, yeah, but you're making it sound like Chinese people are the only people doing that. How about white people? Look at all the wars that were happening in Europe." But where you might not realize is over there in Europe, yes, it's white people fighting white people, but they were at least different countries. England fighting France, France fighting Spain, Spain fighting England. Everybody fight German. Okay, and then Italy getting there sometime. Okay, so it's different country people fighting different country people. That's not the same as Chinese people fighting Chinese people for thousands of years. We literally were same country fighting among ourselves for thousands of years of history. So is it so surprising that even now Chinese people still backstab and manipulate and fight each other whenever we get a chance to? Probably not. Next reason is geography. Now, as most of you know, China is very, very big, okay? And that's not even counting Taiwan, Hong Kong, all the other countries that have Chinese people. If we just look at China on its own, I know Hong Kong is literally a part of China, and Taiwan will probably be soon. But even if we just look at China on its own, it's a very, very big piece of land. Okay, so throughout history, Chinese people, when there's a natural disaster, when there's war and famine, their approach was not how do we solve this problem. Okay, the country is really big, so when there's a problem, all you have to do is move. So this resulted in Chinese people have the habit of moving into someone else's backyard to avoid problem. When there's a famine in the north, northerners go to the south and take southerners' job and steal from the southerners. And when there's a forest fire in the south, the southerners go to the north and steal from the northerners. no one is interested in solving problem the long-term way. Everyone know that the land is really big, so if something is happening here, the likelihood is fine elsewhere. So all I have to do is go and steal from my neighbors, and everything will be okay. So this resulted in Chinese people not willing to work together to solve long term problems. They much rather run and hide and steal and rob someone else's land to solve the short term problem because of the availability of land, and especially in the old days. In the old days when there's no GPS or camera or fingerprint, how easy it was to steal from someone and then disappear, and you will be totally fine. No one would be able to hold you accountable. Reason number three, population. And this is a big one, pun intended. Okay, China literally got like the second largest population in the world, and even that is somewhat debatable, and who knows how long that is going to last. So, with such a big population, what becomes the problem is there's a limited amount of resources. Everyone is fighting for resources. It becomes a survival of the fittest situation. And even worse, people don't take human life, human dignity, human right very seriously. When you only have 20 people, you have to worry about someone. Oh, wow, I can't let that guy go hungry because if he go hungry and something happened to him, then we only have 19 people left. When you have billions of people, you don't mind ripping off a couple thousand people if that means putting more money in your own pocket, because that's nothing. That's those people are expendable, at least in your world's view. So this creates a massive problem in distribution of resources and competing for those resources. Reason number four, why do Chinese people not get along with Chinese people? It's because of a lack of religion. Now, this should make some of the religious people happy because I can already hear people go, see, see, I told you religion is good for you. Well, at least where this one is concerned, this situation is concerned, you are kind of right. Because one of the major reason why, okay, you look at population, you look at geography, you look at history, those are problems that India have too. But why? Why is it that people in India are much, much more willing to work together than Chinese people? Like even a lot of Chinese people ourselves point out, wow, look at how East Indian people, if one of them get into a company, then suddenly next thing you know, 20 of them are in the company, and then next thing you know, they own the company. It's like they just bring their whole family there. If they all work together, why can't Chinese people do that? India have the geography problem, the population problem, the long history, but why aren't they fighting among themselves? I mean, they kind of are if you look at Pakistan and India, but that's uh, that is over religion as well, by the way. Um, Mostly East Indian people uh, culturally are more willing to work together is because of religion. You look at Chinese religion, because some people will say, well, yeah, but Chinese people have religion. You got Buddhism, you got Taoism. So how can you say you don't have religion? But look at Buddhism and Taoism. At the core, those two religions are anti people. Taoism, your whole purpose is to cultivate your soul, is to distance yourself from people is to turn yourself into a hermit, basically. Your whole purpose is to meditate and be one with nature. You're not supposed to be with people. So Taoist people have developed this idea that uh, it's bad to associate with people, it's bad to work with people, it's bad to help people. Buddhism, on the other hand, is even worse because the whole purpose of being a Buddhist is to reach the state of Zen. And the state of Zen means the state of nothingness. No love, no friendship, no desire, nothing. When your whole purpose is to reach the state of nothingness, you don't want to work with people, you don't want to help people, you don't want to be involved with other people. You don't want to take hand in building or making the community better. You don't want any of that because you're not supposed to want any of that. So the two religions that Chinese people have for thousands of years actually are very anti-human, anti-society. This result in that the Chinese people have not developed this fondness for their fellow human being like Christians would have, like Catholics would have, like Muslims would have. Like you look at Muslim religion, you look at Catholic religion and Christian religion, a lot of the other religion, they eat together, they drink together, they sing together, they have a Bible study, they go on trips together. Chinese religion like Taoism and Buddhism just hand over the gold and silver, just give us your credit card number and that's it. We don't do anything together. So yes, religion is a big problem. Also, reason why the Chinese people refuse to be nice to each other. Number five, predatory behavior. This is like a byproduct of the big population. We already mentioned that when you have a huge population, the human right and human life become expandable. When you have a big geography and big population, what usually happens is people move around a lot, and you are encountering people that are Chinese, but they're from a different province. So let's say you live in Taiwan, and then you suddenly encounter someone from Beijing, and this person doesn't speak your language or doesn't speak the same way you do, not the same accent. They don't eat the same food. They don't understand the same uh, everyday stuff. And this mismatch of uh, understanding and tradition, even among the same people, lead to a lot of predatory behavior. Now, when I say predatory behavior, I'm talking about when a Chinese person in Canada uh, want to get ahead by ripping someone off. Well, this Chinese person is less likely to rip off a white person or black person or native person. Why? Because, well, number one, he probably can't speak as good English as they can, so it's harder to rip them off. Number two, he doesn't understand local customs and local laws and stuff as much as well as they do, so it's harder to rip them off. But suddenly, this Chinese person encounters another Chinese person who just got off the boat yesterday. Who do you think he's going to rip off? The native, the French person, the white guy, the black guy, or this new Chinese person? I think the answer is very obvious. This new Chinese person is going to be the prime target. So Chinese people prey on each other a lot, especially overseas. Because of that, because they might not have the knowledge to rip off someone else, but when they run into another person from their own country that just got here recently or who's not as well established as they are, then this person become the prime candidate. We see a lot of this behavior with Chinese employers overseas, right? Here in Canada, in the US, in Australia, a lot of Chinese employers, they will play everything by the rule when they hire white people or black people or native people. But the moment they hire a Chinese person, then they try to rip you off. They are not giving you your overtime. They are paying you cash under the table, and you don't have your insurance and all that stuff. It's really disgusting, honestly. Number six, politics. Chinese people are split into Chinese people from Australia, Chinese people from Singapore, Chinese people from other countries, and then you have Chinese people from China who are communist, and then you have Chinese people from Taiwan who are democratic, and then you have Chinese people from Hong Kong who are communist but trying to become democratic. So you have a lot of undercurrent, a lot of mismatch in political alliances, in belief systems, just among Chinese people, depending on if you are from Hong Kong or you're from Taiwan, or if you're from Taiwan but you want to go back to China, or if you're from Taiwan and you want to be independent from China, if you are from China and you want to be communist, or if you're from China and you don't want to be communist, or if you're from Canada, uh, you're a Chinese person from Canada and you just don't give a rat's ass of what system they use. There's a lot of mismatch and miscommunication going on, and very strong political beliefs in some quarters. For example, I have a friend who, if he dared to say he's Chinese, his dad would jump down his throat. You're supposed to be Taiwanese. You're not supposed to be Chinese. Even though he is Chinese by blood, but politically, that's not okay with his dad. So when you have this kind of strong political divide, uh, then it's very hard for people to trust each other and to even want to talk to each other. Number seven, generational divide. And I'm not talking about generation as in just father, son, grandparent, that kind of stuff. There's a very real generational gap between Chinese immigrants. And let me lay it out for you this way. Prior to 1900, okay, so we talk about the real old Chinese immigrants that come to North America, people who were here from the 1800s. They built a railroad. They were here to mine, they work in the mines. Most of these people were refugees. Most of these people ran away because they were war criminals, or they were brought over as slaves, or as such. These people did not have a lot of education. They did not have a lot of fondness for their own country or culture. A lot of them came over here and never want to go back. A lot of them came over here and got established early on. So these old Chinese immigrants, they developed some of the first Chinatown, and they got well established in local practices and politics. Now we fast forward to 1900, around so somewhere between 1900 and 1945. Most people that were coming over from China at that time were high-ranking officials. It took a lot of money and clout to leave the country and come to North America at that time. So unlike the previous wave of Chinese immigrants. This new wave of immigrants from 1900 to 1945, they are immensely powerful, very cultured, multi-generational imperial family or uh, military family people, very full of themselves. Okay, so they come over here. They didn't experience the hardship that previous wave of immigrants would have. They came over with money. They came over with wealth. They came over very comfortable and got themselves established here. So you can already see that they would clash with the previous wave. Now, fast forward to past 1949, when China became communist and no one was allowed to immigrate. So from between 1949 and 1980, only Taiwanese people and Cantonese people who were not under the Chinese communist rule could immigrate. So this created a huge divide. Okay, China, like Cantonese people and Taiwanese people came over in the mid 90s, so 19 uh, the mid 19th, not 90s, 1949 to 1980, they came over here, got established, started their own business, while people in China didn't even know how to speak English at that time. Past 1980, China started to relax its immigration policy, so more Chinese people came over after 1980. But the first wave that came over were middle to low class people, teachers, drivers, uh, uh, laborers, and they could not compete against the Taiwanese people and Cantonese people that were here 50 years ahead of them. That already spoke English, already knew how things work here. So there was a lot of oppression and bullying going on. People laugh at this new wave of Chinese immigrants, and they get picked on by the Cantonese people and Taiwanese people that got here early. And then fast forward to past 2010. Now the table has turned. This new generation of Chinese immigrants are super, super rich. Okay, now we have the multi-millionaire people who throw around millions of dollars like cash, no problem, coming from China. Now they are the boss. They are the top dog, and Taiwanese people and Cantonese people can no longer compete with them. And even their own generation from the previous generation of Chinese immigrants could not compete with them. So as you can see, from 1800 all the way to 2010, there's a lot of different Chinese uh, society, different Chinese class of people, different situation that came over, and none of them would get along with each other. Last but not least, expectation. So why do other immigrants work together so good? Why do East Indian immigrants work together really good? Why do Filipinos work together really good? Because most other immigrants come to a new country when they decided they don't want their old country anymore. They may still love their old country. They may still love their culture, but the consensus is something really bad is going down in the old country. We are going to America, and we are going to bring our whole family to America, and we are going to become American or Canadian, and then we are going to basically live uh, happily ever after, like that. So their expectation is to stay, to thrive, to express themselves, to involve themselves in local communities and activities. Not Chinese people. If you look at most Chinese people, especially like people from my generation, we got brought over by our parents for one purpose alone, which is to get an education. Or you have some Chinese people, like my parents, their only purpose was we are going to come and make American money. We are going to make Canadian money, and then we are going to go back and spend it there in China or Taiwan or Hong Kong. So the whole mindset is different. If I'm here to stay, if I'm here to build a home in a new country, I will be friendly with people. I will want to get help other people. I will get involved with communities. I will make a club. I will want special events. But if my whole purpose is I'm going to get an education and then go back to my own country, I'm going to make money and go back to my own country, I'm going to hide out here until whatever's uh, problematic is finished, and then I'm going to go back to my own country. If your whole purpose is you're not going to stay, then you are less likely to want to be nice. You're less likely to want to get involved, and you're less likely to even want to be do things with your own people because hey, 5 years later I'll go back to my own country. I'll go back to China or Taiwan. I will never hear from you again. So why should I be nice to you? So this kind of different expectation in the mindset of immigrants really set us up for not getting along with our own people, even though you think that we all come from another country, we should work together. This will make us stronger. But no, because our expectation was never to get stronger here. Our expectation was to come here, get an education, get a degree, get a passport, get money, and then we go home. So I hope that after this extensive breaking down of the Chinese mentality will give you an insight into why is it that unlike East Indians or Filipinos or other many other cultures, Chinese people even today refuse to get along with one another. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please like and subscribe, and if you haven't, I encourage you to check out my blog at johnnytigerexperience.blogspot.com. For now, 谢谢 and 再见。